Welcome to the Finance and Education section of our Expo. I'm your host, Andy from the Veteran Centre. Our first speaker for today is Aaron Cornwall. Aaron's a student veteran services coordinator from the Australian Catholic University, which is offering innovative higher education access to veterans and their partners. Over to you, Aaron.
Thanks, Andy, and thank you to Veterans Centres Australia for allowing me to present today. Look, before I bring up my presentation, I'd just like to introduce myself. So my name is Aaron Cornwall and I'm the Student Veteran Services Coordinator at Australian Catholic University. In a previous life, I served in the Australian Defence Force as a combat engineer, completing one deployment to Afghanistan as part of MTF-3. Separating from defence shortly after my return from overseas, I experienced several challenges myself, transitioning out of life to life outside of service. I spent several years working in the civilian sector prior to commencing my experience in tertiary education. And during that time, I struggled a lot with the idea of who I was outside of defence. It took me a long time, several years, to identify what this feeling of emptiness was. The thing that I realised that was missing was meaning and purpose. I'd spent my time in defence with such meaning and purpose, being a small cog in a big machine. No matter what I was doing and how trivial it seemed, I was always working to a greater cause. Outside of defence, I found it was just me against the world. Quite literally stumbling into tertiary education, I found purpose, and my purpose was to complete my degree. It wasn't until the final years of my study, when I was completing a placement in Timor-Leste, that I understood how tertiary study would give me access to meaningful employment outside of defence. I've been fortunate enough to experience firsthand the opportunities for meaningful employment within higher education. And now I fortunately work in a position where I'm able to support my peers and their loved ones access the same opportunities that I was given. So with that, I'm just going to bring up my presentation. Can I just confirm you can see that, Andy?
Confirmed, I can see that.
Brilliant. So over the next 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to be presenting on building connections and promoting collaboration through a veteran-friendly campus. Throughout the presentation, I will touch on ACU's commitment to supporting current and ex-serving ADF members and their families access, transition to, and succeed in higher education. The main focus of this presentation will be on the development of a veteran-friendly campus that connects students and allows for collaboration both inside and outside of the university. So as a background for those of you who aren't aware of the offerings that we currently have at ACU, in 2019, Australian Catholic University established a formal program to recognise and support current and ex-serving Australian Defence members access and succeed in tertiary education. Initially, this was part of a larger collaborative project with several institutions and the Australian Student Veterans Association, with funding coming from the Department of Veterans Affairs. This project concluded at the end of 2019 that ACU recognised a need for support within this cohort and continued the programs, quickly becoming one of the Vice-Chancellor's priorities. There has been considerable growth with the cohort over the past 2 years, growing from 22 enrolled student veterans in 2019 up to 200 veterans enrolled as of this year. ACU has made a clear commitment to supporting current and ex-serving ADF personnel and their families access, transition to, and succeed in higher education. Now, to set the context for the presentation, I'd like to start by speaking briefly on the benefits of higher education and some of the key considerations when looking at a transition to study for a serving member. So a wealth of research has been conducted on the benefits of education in general. Higher education is often associated with improved health, higher employability, and improved well-being. This has been the topic of much debate amongst a lot of academics internationally, but studies have shown that university graduates are more likely to be involved with the community groups and volunteering opportunities. A growing body of literature has highlighted the benefits of higher education amongst the veteran cohort specifically, indicating increased employability, increased employment rates, improved physical and mental health, and improved job satisfaction. The other area I'd like to touch on before we start is the transition, and more importantly, the preparedness to transition to tertiary study. Now, transition is often the process initiated by an event or that results in a change of oneself and the world. requiring a change in one's behaviour and a relationship to adjust to that situation. This has been defined by many academics and researchers, with various models for transition being proposed. Every person goes through transition, and these transitions are specific to the individual. Transition process may take time and can influence the individual's preparation and can be influenced by the individual's preparation for support for change and support in this process. For a member transitioning from defence to study, they will undertake several transitions. That from being a military member to a civilian, and then again from being a civilian to a student. Research conducted by Diamond showed that members who were prepared for transition and ready to adopt their new identity were likely to experience little conflict or difficulty when they transitioned to study. For both serving members and their families, separating from the Australian Defence Force can be a significant event, bringing with it an array of challenges. Pay gaps, translation of skills, and loss of identity are a few examples of these challenges. There is a wealth of information and research on this process and the various ways to approach supporting a member throughout. For the member beginning tertiary study, considering all aspects of the transition process will be crucial to their success. Each transition is different, and the support for the family member or the member will vary, but understanding what support is available and how to access it is key in any situation. From an institutional perspective, providing support throughout this process is of imperative importance, as this is going to directly affect the retention and success of the student. With that, I'd like to introduce some of the initiatives at ACU that support this process. So, utilising existing research conducted on veterans in higher education, the concept of a veteran-friendly campus was flagged as a key underlying theme to ensuring success and retention of the veteran cohort. Nuances of this concept can differ across various researchers, but the idea that it requires a multifaceted approach with holistic intention is consistent across the board. So what exactly is a veteran-friendly campus? A veteran-friendly campus can be summarised as an institution or establishment where student veterans are welcome, supported and recognised. This needs to occur at all levels of the institution, from the policymakers down to the individual, being the students and the staff. This concept allows for recognition of the barriers veterans face and the acceptance of the veteran cohort for the unique skills and experiences they bring with them to the university setting. Green and Van Dusen proposed a framework which identified key areas essential to creating a veteran-friendly environment. They highlighted the 4 levels within the institution that could be changed to address this were the policy level, providing flexibility in accessing education; the institutional level, which encompass specialised support programs; the department level, which provides direct support for academic success, being identification of the cohort and individualised support; and the individual level, which allowed for the individual to directly contribute to this process. So, utilising this model in addition, the way ACU has implemented this into practice. So, by utilising this model in addition to best practice for veteran support, we've implemented several core offerings that address these areas. These programs have been formed by existing research conducted both within Australia and internationally. From a policy level, the Veterans Entry Program is a direct entry pathway increasing accessibility to higher education for veterans. The pathway allows for members to have their service records assessed and converted into an entry rank. In general, 2 years of service plus basic training provides an entry score of 82, giving access to most degrees within ACU. Additional points can be attributed through additional rank. Recently, ACU extended this pathway to allow for family members to apply direct to the uni as well. This pathway aims to recognise that often is the whole family unit affected by service, and partners, spouses and children over the age of 18 can be inadvertently affected by service. This allows for family members to apply direct to the university and be interviewed through an interview process. In addition to recognition of service towards entry, ACU recently launched a credit mapping project. The credit mapping project looked at the learning management packages from within Defence and mapped these against university units. This allows for servicemen and women to submit their service record to be assessed towards their university degree. The framework provides significant recognition towards business-related degrees, giving up to 120 credit points in some instances. The project was undertaken as a collaborative project between ACU and the Australian Student Veterans Association. Now, looking more at the specialised support that we have for veterans. The Veterans Transition Program falls post-enrolment pre-commencement and allows for a soft introduction to the higher education setting. The VTP aims to address key barriers identified in the literature for veterans commencing tertiary study, which include academic shortfalls due to the length of time since last studying, feelings of alienation and isolation, and a loss of identity. Content includes academic preparation, academic writing, referencing, and assignment writing. A strong focus within the program is to begin developing connections amongst the students. Dedicated sessions run each afternoon dedicated sessions conducted in the afternoons encourage the development of support networks amongst the group to allow an informal layer of support within the cohort. Throughout the program, student veterans further into their study are invited to participate on panels, sharing their lived experience of transitioning to study. Peer mentors attend afternoon sessions throughout the program to provide advice and guidance on utilising systems within the university. Another recently launched initiative backing off the end of that is the Veterans Peer Mentoring Program. This program acts complementary to the Veterans Transition Program, allowing for support throughout the first year of study. Peer mentors are comprised of student veterans in their second year and above of study who are heavily engaged in providing support to other veterans who are starting at ACU. These mentors assist in commencing study students navigating the nuances of the university setting. Now, moving on to identifying the cohort and providing specific support. ACU developed a student veteran support program. This program is available to the student from enrolment all the way through to graduation, aiming to increase retention and promote success through academic support. Registered students receive additional flexibility with class allocation to recognise the veterans coming into study may have additional commitments in addition to that of their recent school leaver peers. The program also allows for a consistent point of contact on campus when seeking support. This will often be in the form of referrals to the most appropriate area or advice on where they can seek that support. Student Veteran Services are able to advocate for the student for academic-related matters, including extensions and special considerations. Now, looking more at the individual level, opportunities are created for recognition of the cohort through staff interactions, both inside and outside of the classroom. This component stems from the accumulation of all other initiatives, allowing for the student and staff to contribute at an individual level. An area of interest within this concept is the idea that learning is an opportunity for both staff and students as to what service means to this cohort. Often there is a heavy emphasis on the provision of support, though equal emphasis should be made on the recognition of service, particularly in the higher education setting. Literature has highlighted that student veterans bring with them a wealth of maturity and life experience to the university setting that can enhance the learning experience for those around. Some recommendations have included allowing for student veterans to share their experiences on topics of relevance in the classroom, not only providing a new lens to view the situation, but also recognising the student's previous experience and knowledge, which can often be overlooked in the academic setting. Research has highlighted the value of both in-class and out-of-class interactions with the student veteran cohort. Studies indicated that a few informal staff interactions outside of the class significantly increased connectedness with the campus, thus increasing the likelihood of retention and success among the veteran cohort. Another value component is the recognition of important dates. This has been crucial in the development of community that welcomes service at ACU. Anzac Day and Remembrance Day commemorative services have become an opportunity for collaboration and cooperation within university departments, and that with the student veterans. Students are included as partners in the planning and organisation of these events. This process ensures that the voice of the veteran is heard. Student veterans are involved in both participating and running the ceremony with prayers, reflections, and flag raising. As per the previous points, these events become a powerful opportunity for the student veterans to share how important these dates are to them, to both the staff and the wider student audience. A recent staple to these events is the Student Veteran Society, which is comprised of a student body on campus. This society collaborates with these societies collaborate with respective student associations on each campus to provide coffee and tea after these events. This collaboration across the two cohorts gives an additional unique opportunity for meaningful connections within the wider student body. So now that we've covered what it looks like from an organisational perspective, how does this model look operationally over the student life cycle? So what is the student life cycle? In brief, the student life cycle is a way of breaking down the student experience into blocks of time, indicating a student's transition throughout the process. In this way, we can pinpoint the most appropriate time to deliver a program based on the student's position in the life cycle. Through intervention across the student life cycle, ACU promotes connectedness amongst students, collaboration between veterans, students and staff to develop a sense of community. Cooperation through partnerships with service organisations provide a holistic support service to the community. So how do we work together? So student veterans are encouraged to connect with one another throughout various programs facilitated by the university. These connections create an informal support network of like-minded individuals who they can draw on throughout their study. Building on the camaraderie and shared experience, this network are quick to pick up on one another during troubling times. The veterans programs at ACU are one arm of a comprehensive network of student support. Collaboration has been essential in the development of a robust offering of programs. With the establishment of the Student Veteran Society, this has allowed for additional social connectedness amongst the student veterans, but also a collaborative relationship to develop a true sense of community amongst the veteran and family cohort. So as we're coming to the end of the presentation, I just want to challenge a couple of views on university. In many cases, tertiary study would be considered as an end user product, with members having been referred to study as a means to gain employment. But particularly in the case of student veterans, university can become another step in the support process, likely referring the member back out for support at another point in time throughout their study. By the nature of offerings, university is uniquely placed to provide holistic support to current and ex-serving members and their families. With a bachelor degree ranging between 3 to 5 years full-time study, this is an opportunity to work closely with a member across multiple touchpoints, both professional, academic staff, peers, and the wider support networks. Each of these touchpoints can act as a mechanism for referral in the case of a member needing support. These referrals can be internal or external for psychological support, financial aid, and wellness programs. A value point of this process is the gradual transition from a highly structured setting to highly regimented, highly structured setting to an adult learning environment which is somewhat structured. Looking at how we can work collaboratively, so the final section of my presentation is the opportunities for collaboration and cooperation across the network. As highlighted in previous slides, university study is a significant period of time with the opportunity to engage students throughout the student life cycle. By understanding the requirements and the value of a holistic support model, we can develop interventions that address areas of need throughout their study. As an institution, we are new in the veteran support space, and student veterans make up a small portion of the larger student population. Drawing on the experience and support from external organisations, we are able to bolster the support that we offer to our student cohort, allowing for a truly holistic array of support. Understanding what we offer as an institution, you are able to provide information to those you work with, knowing that the process is robust, with the member and family at the centre of the equation. This is likewise for us. As a point of referral, it is invaluable for us to understand what is available to members outside of the university. This allows us to provide all information to the students throughout their study. In summary, Australian Catholic University has made a significant commitment to supporting current and ex-serving members and their families access, transition to, and succeed in higher education. University provides a unique pathway to education, increasing employability, satisfaction, and wellness. Throughout the student's throughout the student's academic journey, they will be supported to succeed with opportunities to connect with peers, develop a wider support network, and collaborate with the community. This is supported through the development of VeteranFriendly Campus, which has been shown to positively affect the student experience and promote transition. Thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions during the discussion.
Thank you, Aaron, and what an awesome program you guys offer there at the Australian Catholic University. All right, our next speaker is going to be Angela Thurston from UCare, who will hear about the Veteran Financial Literacy Program. So Angela, on to you.
My name's Angela Thurston, and I'm here on behalf of UCare in Gawler, and hopefully my colleague Alan Murray, who is a financial counsellor, will be with us shortly. We're co-presenting this, but I have most of the information to present, so we should be good to go. Before I get started, I just wanted to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to our elders, and we extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples that are present today. We also really would like to acknowledge and recognise the unique nature and sacrifice of military service and the impact it has on veterans and current serving members and their families. So a little bit about myself, and I'll also tell you about Alan because he's not here to introduce himself. So I am partner of a veteran. He has been out of the Defence Force for about 2 years, pretty much served all of his life in the Canadian Air Force and also the Australian Air Force. We've experienced many postings and a posting overseas, and also a couple of long deployments in the Middle East. My background is, well, I'm actually a yoga teacher, but a couple of years ago I decided I wanted to use my mind a little bit more. So I started with UCare approximately 18 months ago, and was employed for administration support and for facilitating the financial wellbeing presentations that we do. But on the road, they asked me to study as a financial counsellor, as Alan's actually retired. He's in his mid-70s. So I said yes, and about halfway through my training at this point. So of course, I've got a lot to learn, but really excited to be part of this project, and hopefully, you know, to be supporting veterans for a long time coming. A little bit about Alan. He's an Army veteran, and he did study as an accountant, and upon retirement he decided that he would like to train as a financial counsellor. So he did that probably in his late 60s, and has been doing that for the last 10 plus years or so. Very passionate, very passionate about supporting veterans, and I'll go into that throughout the presentation. So the first thing I'm just wanting to talk about is, who are we? So UCare Gawler, we're part of Uniting Care, and we've been operating in Gawler for more than 25 years. We're about under an hour north of Adelaide, but also pretty much near the Edinburgh RAF base, probably about 20 minutes from the RAF base. And UCare Gawler provide emergency material relief to people in severe crisis. And we also have 2 financial counsellors, Alan and our General Manager, Sheena. So we service just the northern area of Adelaide in South Australia, but sometimes we branch out a little bit further if necessary. We've been contributing to the financial capability sector for quite a few years. And during Alan's time in the last 10 plus years at UCare, he identified a strong need to build and grow a veteran-centric financial capability initiative delivered by people with a military background or a family member. So someone actually has a good understanding. Because he found when people were coming to financial counselling appointments that they were more comfortable with Alan if they were veterans. I think because he could actually relate to them and how they felt, and having that shared background. So from this, the Veterans Financial Wellbeing pilot project was born and currently funded by Extra Foundation until the middle of this year. So who are the Veterans Financial Wellbeing Pilot Project? We run face-to-face and online financial literacy education workshops, currently offering sessions only in South Australia. And we've been out on base a little bit at Edinburgh, supporting the soldier recovery program, and we go out there maybe about 4 times a year, but we're also linked in with one of the banks on base, and they seek out areas that we could offer sessions. So it's been a wonderful opportunity over the last 6 to 12 months doing that. We also offer online sessions, and that's pretty much how we started, because we started during the midst of COVID. So learning to navigate Zoom and Teams, it's been fun. As during this time over the last 18 months, we've realised that there's so much evidence that supports a need for financial literacy education for veterans, family members, and also current ADF members. Another major part of our work is we advocate for the need to identify and develop veteran-centric policies and procedures to support our veterans and their families. And that means, we might have a financial counselling client that's a veteran having issues with one of the banks. And just recently we had a meeting with the head office for one of the banks and just sort of educated them a little bit on, dealing with veterans, because it can often be quite different than a civilian member or civilian person. So that's a little bit about our project. We've also done a bit of presenting in local community projects. That photo there of Alan is we were out at the Gawler Services Forum, or the local community services, and just educating them on what we do so they can refer if possible. So what is financial counselling? There's often a bit of a mix-up between financial counselling and financial advice. So I've just got a very short video here I'm going to play. It's just about a minute, and it will just give you a little bit of an idea on what financial counsellors actually do.
Financial advisors and financial counsellors can both help you with your money, but do you know the difference between them? You pay a financial advisor to give you personalised financial advice and help you plan for the future. An advisor will create personalised financial plan for major life goals like buying a house, starting to invest, or planning for retirement. An advisor needs to be qualified, licensed, and experienced, and must understand your financial goals and needs for today and the years ahead. Financial counselling is a free, independent, and confidential service available through community organisations, community legal centres, and some government agencies. A financial counsellor will help you get back on track if you're feeling overwhelmed by debt or experiencing financial difficulty. They will help you understand your options, make a plan to pay off things like bills, fines, loans, or credit card debt, and know your rights if you've been harassed by debt collectors. A financial counsellor is a skilled professional who can talk to creditors on your behalf and help negotiate affordable payment schedules. The earlier you get help, the more options you'll have. Want to know more? Visit moneysmart.gov.au and see our list of both financial advisors and financial counsellors.
Beautiful. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea on what financial counsellors do. And So our goal is to improve your financial literacy skills and help to give you the tools and confidence to manage your finances. All financial counsellors are free, generally through not-for-profit organisations, and we provide you with as much information to support you to have the knowledge of your cost of living and help you to support decision making. We gather together information and resources and present and discuss your options, and you can choose from those options. So we don't actually refer to specific financial institutions or anything. It's more about giving you the options, empowering you to use them. We also advocate on your behalf with people like creditors or people that you may be having issues with in regards to your finances. So financial counselling is a holistic service. So if there's anything that we are unable to help with you, we link in with other services and refer you if necessary. So currently this program isn't funded for financial counselling, but our goal would be at some point that we would be able to, this could be a complete service to offer financial literacy education and financial counselling to veterans, members and their families. So I think most of us that are here know the impacts of service and transition. So as a result of service, there are a lot of health and welfare risks faced by members, veterans and their families, and in particular at transition. I know during our transition there was a lot of uncertainty. And then of course you've got loss of identity, loss of connections, breakdown of family relationships, and also a lot of psychological aspects. In particular for me, for our family, on relocation for the children, so many issues that can present as a result of all of the things that we experience as ADF families. So we are so passionate about advocating for that. Improving financial literacy needs to form part of the transition process. So I believe we have Alan with us now. Now I did introduce you, Alan, but I don't know whether you wanted to take a little bit more time to introduce yourself. I think you're on mute and your video is off.
Oops. Yep, they should be right now.
Beautiful. Welcome. I did give you a short introduction about your accounting background and how you found the Veterans Financial Wellbeing Project at the beginning. So,
okay, thanks, Angela. Angela probably mentioned I spent 9 years in the Army. I joined as an apprentice many years ago, and was in Army Aviation as an elect fitter, and then I served in Vietnam for 12 months, and the last year I was in Papua New Guinea, which was still a Australian territory in those days, and that's where I joined from. So I got out there and started my accounting career there. So I've been doing financial counselling for about 11 or 12 years now, and so getting on a bit. So what's financial wellbeing and capability? Well, the first thing, the first of the benefits of financial literacy education is to give you a sense of security. It enables you to identify the difference between your needs and your wants, and can organise your affairs to ensure that you meet your needs, and you can plan to achieve the wants that you have. It also gives you some financial freedom. It puts you in control of your finances, having that knowledge and being informed about the financial world around you, and it's quite a lot more complex than it was even a few years ago now. It also builds the attitude, the knowledge and skills so that you can make sensible decisions to benefit your family and your current financial situation. You know, might be, you know, making decisions about, you know, buying a home, buying an investment property, investing, things like that, and knowing the places to go to seek that advice and be able to work out, you know, what the offers that are made to you, and you can then, you know, translate them into how they can benefit you and the family, both in the short term and the long term. It gives you an ability to create a financial structure that suits you or suits your family, you know, meeting your needs in the short term, but also, you know, building for the future. You know, if you've got kids, the kids growing up and getting educated, and all those kind of things. And it gives you a good understanding of the cost of living, and you can also gain an understanding of what the differences in the cost of living might be if you're currently serving and about to transition. Maybe things that are subsidised while you're a member of the ADDF that will no longer be subsidised when you get out, so you need to allow for them. One of the things that, particularly during COVID, that a few studies have shown that financial hardship can adversely affect people's mental health. And we know from other studies that are done that, you know, veterans suffer poorer financial health than the general population, and suicide rates are something like 30% above the general population. And in fact, with some recent information came out from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare that female veterans are even more affected. I think it's almost double. And that same report shows that the mental health of people while they currently serve is actually better than the general population. So these are all things that, you know, having a decent financial literacy can help you, you know, build on that and avoid some of the pitfalls. So the next page, we talk about what our wellbeing presentations cover. You know, financial literacy provides education, skills and knowledge, and to empower people to manage their finances effectively. That's one of the big things about financial counselling, is trying to empower our clients. So obviously it feeds into what we do with financial literacy education. Some of the areas that we cover are budgeting and debt management, and good and bad debt, insurance and utilities. If you're relying on a Centrelink payment or DVA payment, how that's protected. And we're also going to talk about different types of credits. So if we move on to the budgeting and debt management side of it, during the workshop or webinar, we look at a simple budget model. The one we use is, because it's easily accessible, is the Money Smart one, and it's just an Excel spreadsheet, and most people seem to have Excel spreadsheet skills these days. So how to do that budget and, you know, make sure that you get all the little areas that you're spending money on and you don't realise. It also gives them the knowledge to maintain your budget, looking things at hidden expenses you might have signed up for, say, a streaming service that you're not using, and then there's a debit going through your, you know, one of your bank accounts every month that you've forgotten about. And also spending leaks is a big one. You know, you're going out for dinner and you don't have a provision in the budget to, you know, go out for dinner once a month or once a fortnight. Getting coffee, you know, $5 for a cup of coffee. We do that every day. It's $25, so that adds up over the course of the year. And there's little things like that that impact on the budget. The spreadsheet also shows at the end, you know, if your budget is balanced, if you've got some surplus, and if you've got a deficit. We also talk about managing debt. This day and age, most of us seem to have debt at some stage in our life. We talk about, you know, the importance of understanding the terms and conditions of the loan, the impacts of not managing your debt properly, you know, penalty, interest rates, and late fees and things like that. And if you're only paying off the interest on a credit card each month, you know how much you end up paying in interest, which is shown on your credit card statements nowadays anyway. And the benefits of managing credit properly, paying it off early or maintaining the payments has an impact on your credit score. One thing we talk about, what is a good debt and a bad debt. A good debt is generally considered something that you purchase an asset that's going to appreciate over time. For example, your house or an investment property, and over the longer term shares would be considered a good, good investment, because by and large they generally appreciate in value. Cars are marginal. They do depreciate in value, but it's offset by savings, you know, with regard to cost of public transport. Bad debt's considered like credit card debt, or if you're having to use a credit card for consumption. So any debt that you incur for consumption is, you know, really bad debt. Insurance and utilities, we just point out the importance of people understanding the terms and conditions of their policy. All too often we hear on the news after events like we're seeing at the moment, where people think they're covered for some sort of disaster, and in fact, you know, the insurance company is able to get out of it because somebody doesn't understand their terms and conditions. So it's really important and particularly if you're taking out debt to purchase assets, one of the conditions of those loans obviously is to keep that item insured. So it's a good idea to understand that insurance. Utilities are still, even though they've gone down marginally over the last couple of years, they're still very expensive here in Australia. And it's important that you understand your bills. There's these comparison sites around that give you different offers from the different utility providers. But that's not a lot of use unless you understand your bill and you can interpret that and see how that's going to affect your overall energy bill over the next 12 months or something. Some people are main source of income may be a DVA or a Centrelink payment. Now, those payments are provided for what they call the essentials of life, which is a roof over your head, electricity, food, medical costs, things like that. So if you, sometimes people have, if they've gone through a difficult time financially, they may have an old debt that they currently can't pay or not paying. Those creditors can't access those payments because they're protected by law. As I said earlier, just a secured creditors, a mortgage, or secured card loans, bill of sales, and things like that, hire purchase. They're all secured loans. The unsecured loans are generally personal loans and credit cards, which have much higher interest rates than a secured loan. And that's because the credit providers doesn't have any form of security over the money that they've lent you. So they want to earn a better return on that money. Anyone that's providing any of those traditional forms of credit, personal loans, mortgages, need to be licensed. So banks, finance companies, things like that. Consumer lease, where you get, a fridge or a sound system for $20 a week, which you end up paying about 6 or 7 times the list price of that product. That has to be licensed, as do payday lenders. And, a lot of payday lenders, prey on people who are in financial hardship, unfortunately. And the next one is an area that's burgeoning these days, and with it, hopefully that it's unregulated at the moment. Hopefully it'll become regulated in the near future. Is the buy now, pay later and salary advances. I'll talk about that in a minute. The reason they're not licensed credit is because they don't actually charge interest, but they charge fees, particularly if you're late and things like that. And then if you work out what the impost of those fees are, it actually works out to a substantially higher interest rate. And salary advances are the same. They charge X amount to get an advance of your salary. Our goals are to provide a tailored and coordinated responsive veteran-centric approach to financial wellbeing. We want to identify and support members, veterans and their family who are either at risk, are in financial hardship, or experiencing financial uncertainty. And often when people transition out, they may be discharged, because they've got some medical issues and things like that. So they tend not to have their ducks in a row, and they end up, not knowing, where they are financially. It can be very stressful, amongst other things. We have the ability to provide training and resources to support and educate ex-service organisations and members of the veteran community. And what we want to do is to train and retain financial counsellors who have a shared experience and understand the unique nature of military service. Angela would have mentioned to you that she's currently studying financial counselling. I'm sure she's going to be a great financial counsellor. Our mission is to provide continuation of our financial literacy program beyond 2022. We're currently working through that, and hopefully we're going to be able to do that. It's really important, we think. We think it's important for us to become part of the RDF transition process, so we can help RDF members transition to civilian life. We do policy advocacy to secure funding and build capacity for financial counselling services provided by financial counsellors with a shared experience. And I think that certainly in South Australia, I believe I'm the only financial counsellor with our service background. So thanks for listening to us, and I think we can open up the question now, can't we?
Thank you, Alan. Angela, did you want to add something there?
No, I just said thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Alan, for your service and for everything you contribute towards empowering our members towards financial well-being. And for you as well, Aaron, for presenting. So what we'll do from here, we'll exit from here. For all the participants listening in, can you please have your questions ready for the next session, which commences at 2:30. It's about enough time for a quick coffee. We'll see you all at the next session for questions. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Alan and Aaron.